Hey folks, I'm going to introduce some new livestock into the farm, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hance, and I said in the bumper I'm introducing some new livestock to the farm, and as you could tell by the title, you know exactly what it is. Yep, worms. They're a living creature, considered livestock, just like bees. My honeybees are considered a livestock, but worms not so much so. So uh, I wanted to share with you guys this recycled bathtub that I had gleaned from this farm when I purchased it. It came out of the old wrecked, destroyed manufactured home that was sitting here, so I decided to keep it on hand and use it for a trough or something. Then once the greenhouse was built, I decided, you know what, I can turn it into a worm bin and establish what they call vermiculture on the farm. So that's what we're going to do with this bathtub today. So the first thing I want to do is learn about vermiculture. I know very little about earthworms other than going out to the garden and doing my gardening and once in a while digging them up. Now worms have an absolute awesome benefit to your garden. What worms do is they go through and they eat all the organic compounds in your soil, and while they digest it, they leave their poop, which is called worm castings, also called in the gardening world black gold. As they're eating the organic compounds that goes through their systems, they break down the nutrients into individual components that your plants can tap into and grow really healthy. These castings are high in calcium, nitrogen, and magnesium. They're also rich in phosphate, potash, and humus. And all these are broken down into small enough compounds that the plant root can absorb it, take it up, and turn it into the nutrients that the plant uses. Where did I learn this? Well, I have a library, and I have a little library of books out here in the greenhouse. There's books on greenhouses, and here's the book called The Slice of Organic Life. And on page 128 and 129, it covers worms, worm bins, worm castings, using worms in gardens. So that's how I glean some of my information is from this book. And if you guys want to try to order this book, here is the ISBN number that you can write down. You can freeze the frame and write that down and order that. This book is rich, and as far as a farmer or homesteader goes, it's rich in a lot of information. So let's get back to worms. The particular type of worm I wanted was called a red wriggler. Why a red wriggler? Because they're so prolific, more so than the common earthworm that's around here. And we want to use these wrigglers to be able to get into the garden and do their work. So what you can do is add 2 to 4 worms per garden bed, and then what they do is they climb through, and as they eat the stuff, they tunnel and they leave breathing space for the plants to root and keep the soil loosened up, also adding that rich nutrients into the soil. So another side ingredient that's produced once the worms turn all of your waste into organic material to supplement your garden bed, boost your garden beds. You can also drain off the liquid and keep it in a container. Now, it'll stink, so I have these glass containers that are 1 gallon size. And when you use that in breaking it down, the ratio say 1 cup to 10 cups of water, then you can fertilize your plants with that. That is, it's like worm tea is what they call that. Very high in nutrients. So to establish an environment for the worms, you can do them outside or you can do them inside. Some people have a bucket in their utility room and they put their food waste into the bucket, and then the worms right there take care of the that stuff. Then you can thin the worms out by putting them out around your trees and in your garden beds, and pretty soon you'll have a crop that the neighbors will be jealous of. Yep. Well, so I chose indoor instead of outdoor. It doesn't get cold up here, so a cold environment, the worms, you don't want them to freeze. So if you're going to have a habitat for them outside, you got to wrap it and like in hay or some kind of a material to keep them from freezing. And you also don't want them to get too hot. Now, I chose the location of the greenhouse. Yeah, it can get really hot in the greenhouse. However, I have this year I'm going to be taking steps in putting a big roll down shade across the front of the greenhouse, and then I can open all the windows and just let it go passively cool through here. Keep it from getting too hot. Of course, I wouldn't need the heat during the summer, but we'll just take care of the worms. Getting the worm bin ready. I want to add a little leftover organic material that I got in this leftover pail. I'm going to moisten it down a little bit. Now, worms like moist. They do not like soaking wet. They just like moist. So we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to add some dry organic material, such as plant waste. Just lay that down in there. The other day I went and cleaned out the chicken house, and I got some manure. We're going to go sprinkle this over the top. I also cleaned out the rabbit tree last week, and I've got a pile of rabbit turds. We're going to add that to the mixture. Kind of froze from the snow, being exposed to the snow. Yum, yum. A feast. Gonna go ahead and arrange some more organic dry material in there. And add some more dirt or soil. And then for my office, I have shredded paper. Yep, this is carbon that will be added to your mixture. I'm gonna go ahead and wet this down. Now remember, you want it wet, not soaking. So to this, you save up your food scraps. I have a banana that I ate earlier, and I'll just throw that in here. And then I snacked on an apple, and you just take the apple pieces that I don't eat and throw that in there. And then of course the paper napkins that I use in the process in the kitchen, I'll just lay those in there, and I'll spread these out thin because they'll have some moisture in them too. I also had a cup of coffee with my breakfast. And here's the coffee grounds, so you just put those in there too. Yeah, they like coffee grounds. And guess what? Cardboard like an old egg carton. Yeah, they'll take care of that too. Just lay that in there, water it down. And who'd have thunk? A way to get rid of your container of dust from your vacuum cleaner is just simply put that in here too. Add some more paper. Now, something you can't find in any books or material that I could find is you got to add sand. Worm like a chicken, when it eats the little pebbles, it goes down at its crop and helps break up the hard food. Well, a worm is the same way. They take in some sand and then they use the sand to help break down some of the harder material that they're digesting. So you just want to add a component of sand, not too much, just a little bit. And now I'm going to just arrange some more organic soil over the top of it so the worms have something to get down into. And of course, wet this in. And now as you go through daily living, you save your food scraps, you put them in here. Anything really wet, it adds a lot of moisture in there. So what you want to do is add dry about once a week. Add something dry like more of the shredded paper. And it'll help keep things at the right biosphere, if you will, for the worms. Now, I went down to my local resource and I purchased a bucket of red wriggler worms. And here is the contact information if you want to order some online. Yep, go ahead and freeze the frame and write that down. And you can get your worms, or you can just go down to the local bait shop or garden center because they do have worms. This bucket contains about 400 worms. So we're going to go ahead and let them out, set them free. There they are. Now these are worms that are in various stages of life. You've got eggs, you've got adult worms, you've got juvenile worms. So I'm just spreading them around, making sure they can all go down into the soil where they need to go. And I'm going to lay some more soil over the top of them just to get them under something so they don't dry out. And just add just a little bit of moisture. Then I'm just going to lay some cardboard over the top of it just to protect it from drying out, because you don't want a whole lot of evaporation going on. That way it retains the moisture. Okay, and put my screen top back over and my work surface is ready for more planting and other activities. I've got another activity planned out here real soon, so stay tuned to that video. I'm Jerry Hansen, your host. This is my new vermiculture outfit that I have built for my farm. We now have another livestock on the farm, worms. Please stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by subscribing, then clicking that bell icon. That'll alert you to new videos as I do upload them. Something else you could do for me is click that share button. Sharing my videos on your social media platforms does us a favor. Also, yeah, give us a thumbs up, like the show, and I hope this provided some information for you guys that you didn't know. I know I learned as I went. I've been studying vermiculture for the last 2 or 3 years since I intended on getting busy with it. Because I built this worm bin about 3 years ago and just got around to getting something done with it. Bucket of worms, about 18 bucks. That's 17 bucks and some change. So that's all I have invested in this. Table scraps. Oh, a couple of items you want to make sure you don't give to worms. They don't like acidic foods like onions and citrus. Yeah, don't do that. Don't give them those. Otherwise, this is upside down. That's it. Leave a comment, leave a question. I'll try to answer your question. I'm not an expert on vermiculture or gardening. I'm just learning as I go. And I've got a good resource to do it. Please be safe and always be kind. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye now.